We're married last 2010. So we're blessed with 3 kids. The picture is not so clear. So our eldest is Braden James. He's 6 years old now. And the second one is a girl. His name is Brenna Josephine, which turned 2 this coming December. And our third one is the Bob, adopted one. Because since we don't have a family picture yet, because our third one is still 1 month old. His name is Brandon Jack. So now he's sleeping. So as mentioned, we're in this community for almost for 1 year. So our journey here is a great challenge for us because as couples, right, there are some conflicts, and through this community we learn a lot on how to become patient, and there are a lot of teaching, especially when we attended the MER. So there was some enlightenment on our side that we're able to understand our partner because actually married life is so difficult. It's a very, very challenging vocation in our life. So before I go to the topic, to the main message, let's recap. Still remember the first module, right? There are 4 talks, right? God's love, who is Jesus Christ, what it means to be a Christian, repentance and faith. So it's talking more about God, which is our primary goal is to know Him, to serve Him, and to love Him, right? So last week's talk, the start of the second module, as mentioned, is talking about the 2 greatest commandments given by Jesus to us. So see, it's loving God and loving our neighbors. So since this is our greatest commandment provided by Jesus to us, we need to follow this, right? So all the commandments from Old Testament until the New Testament was summarized in these 2 commandments. So in order to perform this or to attain this, it's so actually these 2 commandments so very hard to do it in real life. It's so difficult to forgive the one who offended us or sinned against us. But it's a commandment of Jesus that we need to love our neighbors, even our enemies. So one of the main strategy to attain this is to start with our family, because if we build our family stronger and bonded with the teaching of Christ, which is how to have a Christian family, is this one is attainable. So now for today's session, it's talking about the Christian family and life with the Holy Spirit. So the goal here is to stress the importance of the Christian family and give advice for building up a strong Christian family. So let's take a look on what is happening now, especially on the family side. So it's very common now, you can see in the social media, in the TV, the broken families are so quite high now. So I have some statistics here from in the Philippines. This is a 2015 data well, it's not clear, right? But if you see the second, it's a 9.4%. These are the children or the kids was under by single parent, 9.4%. So now we're almost 100 million, right? So there are 9.4 million in Philippines now. They don't have both parents attending them. So then it's quite high on the Western world, especially in America and in Europe. So there's a domestic violence, right? And 35% is in worldwide that experience of physical and sexual abuse by their husbands. Then there's the one I mentioned is single parent also. It's part of the broken family. It's statistics also in UK. The 30% or 1/3 of their population there is handled by single parent. So it's quite alarming now because based on their study, by the next 10 years, there will be more single parent than the married parents in UK. So that would be on 2025. So you can see now that the bondage in the family is really attacked by the evil ones. So this is the purpose of this talk, on how we can fight this and how to strengthen our family. So this second one is the divorce. So divorce is really against the commandments of God, because especially when you read the passage of Mark, the union between man and woman is union by God, cannot be separated by any human being. So marriage is so sacred that if God already blessed you, there must be no separation. And it's also continued in Mark chapter 11 that whoever divorces the husband divorces his wife and marries another woman is committed adultery. So vice versa also, if a woman divorces his husband and marries another man, also commits adultery. So that's why our Catholic Church is, you see the Philippines is white, meaning we don't have a divorce data in the Philippines. But if you see in the Western world, actually this data is the more darker is the higher the divorce rate. So if you can see the European countries and United States, it's above 40 to 60% divorce rate. Then there's a gay marriage or the same-sex marriage. So it's legal already in many countries. The blue one are the legal. So in South America, like Brazil, Colombia, Chile, and America and Canada, it's legal. That's why I saw Sigera last time, right? Remember that she went to, because they divorced, there's no same-sex marriage in Philippines, so they went to California to have their marriage there. Then the saddest part now is some churches now are allowed the divorce as long you met their requirements. So, but our Catholic Church is it's not allowed this one. And next one is abortion. So many countries also abortion is legal. The blue one also are the legal countries: China, Russia, US, Canada, and some parts of the world. So this is very against to the creation of life, which later I will discuss, which is the purpose of God to have a family. And contraception also, this is against for the procreation, which is state in the mandated by the church, that Catholic Church, that when we do sexual intimacy is a purpose for creating a life. So you can see that the family now is under attack. And not only it's under attack, you can see the consequences of family that is happening now. You can see the child abuse, and more kids are now very free now. They love to party everywhere, every time, anytime. The drug abuse and the negative influence of media, the TV, and the play games, and the teen pregnancy. So there's also violent crimes. You can see that most of the social problems now in the world today is directly or indirectly caused by or influenced by the family. So you can see now that there's a really need to an awareness on what is happening now, and so that we will not be a victim of this. I really firmly believe that we should start in our family, especially on our kids. And for those single, by the time you get married, you must know the purpose why you go to the married life. So which later we'll discuss also. So we want to face, the challenge now is we want to face this attack. So to come out with our families intact and even stronger. So we need to prevent breaking up of families to make our marriage more resilient. So I will discuss some about the marriage. In Cebu, there was a priest talking about also about married life. So when he's a Jesuit priest, so when he went to Vatican one time, he went to the room of Pope John Paul I. So Pope John Paul I is not so famous, right? Actually, he's the shortest, has the shortest term in papacy for almost, I think, 3 or 4 weeks because of heart attack. So on his room in Vatican, there was a painting made by Pope John Paul I. So the painting is it's like a bird cage. Just imagine a bird cage. There was a bird looking inside the cage, and there's also a bird looking outside the cage. But if you look into the drawing according to Father, that is then the bird cage has a marriage title. So the interpretation of it is when people are like to go to marriage, right? When then by the time because marriage is you're already almost in a cage, right? Then you cannot escape in the married life. So the birds also in that cage would also like to go out. So this is really happening. So by the time we got married and a lack of conflicts, then that's it. It can cause separation and broken family. So the most affected one are our kids. So this is what really happening. So that's why the Christian family they would like to make our marriage more stronger. So for this, we need to put on God's mind and follow His plan for the family. So what is God's plan for the family? So God has intended the family for the transmission of life. So you can see if you read Genesis, right? God created the world so perfectly, but there was missing. So because of His great love, you can see in Genesis 1 verse 27 to 28, He created a man. This is for the purpose of procreation, that all transmitting by procreation the divine image from person to person. It was meant to be so from the very beginning. So He created Adam first, right? Then He saw that Adam is a lonely guy. So he needed a support. So that's why He created Eve. So He took out from the man. So that's why it was called woman. So so the mission there is to increase and multiply and fill the earth. Because we are servants of the Lord, we want to take care of His creation. So that's why the abortion is really against God. So God intended man and woman to be one, not independent individuals producing babies, but husband and wife raising a family. So there must be a complete members, right? There should be husband and wife and kids. So imagine if the world is only man is so lonely, right? So if only man and woman without kids were almost like a pilgrim, lonely pilgrim, wandering aimlessly in this world, meaning no motivation, no purpose in life. So that's why we have this family and we support each other. So remember the story of Cain and Abel, right? So that story is Cain and Abel is the son of Adam and Eve. Then because of jealousy, because Cain is so jealous to Abel, he killed it, right? So you can see the punishment by God to him. he was wandering, meaning he's traveling from time to time until the end of his life without a family. So that is the first sin against our family. So if we do it like that, then for sure we're guilty on that sin until the end of your days. So it's so dreadful if you sin against your family, against the family. Then the family is a place for teaching children and training leaders. So parents must be acknowledged as the first and foremost educators and their children. Their role as educators is so decisive that scarcely anything can compensate for the failure in it. So we have to know our role as a parents, right? We should educate and train our kids in God's way, especially in a Christian way. So later I will have some examples on it. Then parents have the first responsibility for the education of their children. They bear witness to the responsibility first by creating a home with a tenderness, forgiveness, respect, fidelity, and disinterested service ago. So as a Christian family, as the head of the family or as a parents, we need to have a home which is full of love, trust, respect, sacrifice, commitment, and most especially the love for God. And I have a question though. Is it our home have this kind of environment? Is there a respect in our home, or is there a disrespect or? So we need to create a family with these values. The third one, the family is a place to transmit wisdom and values of life. So teaching is not formal but rather comes in the everyday activities in the home. So we need to set us an example. So we need to share our wisdom and we need to discipline our kids. So actually this portion is a very difficult task for the parents, right? Especially the couples. We have a lot of experience on how to discipline our kids, but kids are kids. They're hard-headed, and for example, I have some my temper rise for my son last time because he did not eat his food, then almost late in the school. So what I did is, because every day we keeping doing like this, so I always told my son to, as a part of a discipline, but he shouted at me, and then I was really, my blood pressure rise. then my wife just make me calm. So then because I have a daughter also, then that is why let's be very careful to our kids, because actually our kids is imitating us. What they can see is they will follow. Then what happened is, at the end of the day, when he came to school during night time, the second daughter offended him. So he's also angry and blood pressure also is rising. Then the words that he uttered and the words, the intonation is same with the one I told him in the morning. So maybe until now, sometimes when he scold his sister, he followed already. That is why I'm so guilty on this, and that's it. So from now on, I really control my temper now, and have to have more patience, especially when dealing with kids. Because Fourth one is a leader. We need to train our kids to become a leader and receive his basic training in his own home. So it's written in 1 Timothy chapter 3. The family is a place for training leaders. So he must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him. So there must be an obedience. So we need to train our kids to become obedient to us and respectful, so that when they grow older, they will create also a family, right? So we need to have this transmission of responsibility. So that's why we need to train our kids, our children, to be a leader. Then the third one, the God's plan for the family is a domestic church. So we need to imitate the church to our family. We need to have a family that is under the church, a small church. The parents, especially the fathers, are to be raised in their families. They represent God to their families by their example of a living Christianity, by diligently teaching scriptures. So before I joined this community, I only prayed for myself, and my wife also prayed on her own. Then since we joined the community, we are trained to have a couple prayer also. Not only your personal prayer to God, it's a wonderful, or it's more better to have a couple prayer. So every night, before we go to sleep, me and my wife have a couple prayer, and together with my kids also. So I'm the one who's leading this activity. So this is the one I learned in the community. So this must be part, if you're a father, this is part of your responsibility to lead your family, especially in the prayer time. So the family, like the church, you can see in the church, right, the priest, especially in the homily, is teaching about the gospel. It's more on imparting the faith and spreading the good news. So as part of our role, is God's plan for the family, we need to read the scriptures and share this good news to our kids. Oops. The parents not only communicate the gospel to their children, but from the children they can themselves receive the same gospel as deeply lived by them. As such, a family becomes the evangelizer of many other families. So we need to train our kids also on the scriptures. So same in my family, Braden, my eldest son, he always reads the scriptures also. KD one. We bought a KD Bible in our house, and since last year, 2 years ago, he started that reading. And until now, no skip for 1 year plus. He will not miss even a single day. We already finished that Bible, and many times we already. So if you ask my son on a few characters in the Bible, he can memorize it. Then although he's not fully understand really the meaning, right, because he's too young. But the key here is at least they know the characters in the Bible and how they respond to God's call and how they respond on different situations in life. So that's the one I always talk to him. So the next topic is why God's plan for families is not happening. So you can see in the introduction, right, the family is being attacked by evil. So what are the reasons? So first reason is parents no longer bring up their children in the discipline and instruction according to the Lord's commandments. So we can read it in Ephesians 6:4. So this one, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. So sometimes you can see some fathers or mothers, they provoking their kids to get anger. And sometimes more worse is to provoke them to revenge. I'm not sure if you saw this kind of people. So sometimes we just follow the social media on how to train our kids, and but these are not in the internet, right? We can see a lot of tips on how to discipline a child, but these are good ones, right? But the basic one is written in the Bible. So we should be trained or discipline our kids according to the scriptures. So these are examples: correct your son and he will give comfort, he will give delight to your soul. So the key here is discipline, because as written in Sirach, disciplining the child is a must. Failure to do this is a failure of parents. So discipline your son and give him work to do, or else he will be an embarrassment to you. So you can see in our community now, let's say for example, the one who committed crimes, murder, drug addicts, or remember the last week in the Las Vegas, right? One who shoots a lot of during the concert. He killed around 50 plus people, right, and wounded. So I don't know really what's the reason, but perhaps maybe the discipline that he has during his childhood is not so strong, because he's deviated from what is really the moral one. So let's say for example the drug addicts, right? You can see that the drug addicts, before they part to this activity, normally they are invited by some drug addicts too, right? So if you have a strong family and you discipline your child on how to live a life which is which is for morality and for the good of the community, I think he will not accept it. So that is why discipline and is very important in training our kids. So that is why we need to have some. We need to train our kids. The second one is husbands and wives who can follow God's order for them. There is a confusion of roles. So sometimes the wife is acting like a husband, is leading the family, and both also vice versa. The husband also is so not loving, is abusing his wife. So we need to understand our roles in our family. So this is the good thing. If you join the CFC, right, we have a discussion on the MER, the marriage enrichment retreats. So there's a topic there on how to have a better function, especially as husband and as a wife. And you will know the importance of it, and you have a respect on each other. So there is too much importance given to acquiring material possessions. So we're really blinded by we're in the worldly today. You can see here, shopping here, shopping there, acquiring more wealth, more money, more cars, more possessions. So you forget about that. But this is not a bad one, as long as you're not this is not your God. And the second reason is the family itself is losing its importance. Many of its responsibilities have been taken over by the other groups in society. Education in schools, livelihood in offices, industries, recreation in malls. So now it's common nowadays, right? We leave our kids to the school, even at the young age, 2 or 3 years old, because the parents are both working. So we just leave our kids. So we don't know. I'm not saying this is bad, but let's be vigilant also and monitor also, because it's much better if we have time, and especially in the younger years, because these are the development of love and the knowledge. And the second picture, you can see that it is very common now, right? We give some tablets so that we can do our activities. I'm guilty of this. So Then this one is playing computer games. These are happening in US. Not only in US, it's common also that when the parents is do some shopping, they just leave their kids in the playing station. So you can see here that the importance of family quality time and the bonding of each members of the family is integrating if we allow this kind of activities. So easy availability of modern education and communication facilities like internet, social media, video games. Is this happening in your home? No? So we have our own cell phones. My wife also have own cell phones. Then our kids also have tablet, right? The third one is the traditional family has become indispensable. Separation and divorces becoming easy to obtain, living becoming acceptable. So you can see the rising of annulment cases now, and also the divorce, the one I showed a while ago. There is a data in Philippines that every year the annulment cases keep rising quantity, and the number of married couples is declining. This is the number of married each year. So family, people now are more preferable not to get married. Especially you can see the celebrities, right? They are changing partners from time to time. So actually their motivation in their marriage is just to have some happiness or sexual pleasure. It's not really the God's plan. So the pace of modern life has become very fast, making it difficult for lasting relationship to develop. So especially for couples of teenager kids, this is very common, right? Because our kids spend most of their time not in our home. Normally outside our home, right, in schools. But outside schools, they have their friends. So let's be watchful on them also, because you can see their influence of the friends is so very intense nowadays. They can be deviated also. So this one, earning a living, is taking a big chunk to the time of the fathers. Not only fathers, but working mom also, leaving the little time for the family. So this is also common, right? That we give so much time on our works. So I have one example I worked also in Cebu last time. We have this technician, his name is Richard. Then he's working as shifting pattern. So shifting, right? You work on night time, and also his wife is also working in shifting but different company. So he mentioned to us on one discussion that it's very seldom for them to see each other, especially with they have 2 kids. So example, when he go back to home during night time, her wife already went to work also. And their kids also is already in the school. When the change shift also is the same. He's already sleeping because it's night shift. So you can see the time they're spending on their kids is really so little only. So this has an impact on the kids, on our children also. So the fourth one is the most, the evil one is really working on how to break the family. So that is why we should have a prayerful life and must commit to God, especially the purpose of our marriage. Because the evil forces is really working on here on earth. Especially, in reality, the evil really wants to attack the guys, especially the guys. Because guys are the head of the families. So if Satan can pull the man or the husband, for sure the whole family will collapse. So that's why we should be, as husband, we should be loyal and love and must have a strong commitment to our married life. So anti-life forces has become very aggressive also. You see the abortion now and the contraception are almost available now in any countries. It's really... So what can we do? So we need to have an action item. So since we know the reality now, and we know why the God's plan is not happening now, so we must have a goal or action items on how to fulfill the God's plan in our family. So first is make a decision that in your family you want God's plan to happen. So there must be a real motivation. There must be a discernment, not only for the husband, and both of you must have this commitment to God, especially to our children. There must be also effort, because you need to have a decision. There must be also an effort or commitment to do this, because without plan, without commitment, it's so difficult also to achieve the God's plan. So next one is make time for the task of building a strong family. So examine your daily life to ensure that your family has enough quality time together. So the key here is quality time. So quality time. So we must assess our family now. Are we having quality time with our family, with our wife, with our kids? And most of us here are OFW, right? So sometimes, not sometimes, our attention is very far away, right? Especially for the singles here, right? So I really believe that the greatest demand in the family is the time. If there's no time, sharing of time between the families, I think the love, the affection is not so intense also. That's why time is very important in the family, quality time. Then the third one is very important. We need to pray together as a family. So this is a very famous verse, right? The family that prays together stays together. So if you want to have an everlasting marriage, you must do this. We must have a prayerful life, a more spiritual life. And we need to attend Holy Mass together, pray the Rosary as a family, then pray over your children, pray for healing of family. So at first, this is a difficult part, especially if we're not practicing prayer in our daily life. So when you join the CFC, there's always a prayer activity. Then if you keep doing it, it's very easy for you to do it. So that's why the prayer time is very important. Then fourth one is fathers should take steps to assume full responsibility for the spiritual and material needs of the family. So fathers should assume the role of priest, provider, and protector, and wives should support their husband and not take over the roles. So learn more about God's plan for your family. You can attend teaching on Christian marriage and family life. So this is the good thing of CFC, right? We have a lot of seminars on how to improve our married life, especially our family life. We have the marriage enrichment retreat. So it's one activity that will improve your family life, especially your married life. Then read Christian books and magazines, especially the Holy Scriptures. It's very important. Then seek other couples to share your concern about family life and be in regular fellowship with them. So this is also one of the advantages of joining this community, the Couples for Christ, because we have a weekly household. Every week we have a weekly household. It's a form of fellowship, and we sing, we praise and worship, and we have a lot of prayer time there. And the last activity normally we do is we have a sharing. So as my experience, because since I'm just not I'm just married for 7 years, I'm just I'm just in the starting period. It's a long way to go. But when you join the household, there are a lot of elder couples. This is the advantage because when they share their past experiences, you can learn from them, especially for the new couples. You can learn the values and how to act on a certain kind of situation. So in CFC also, you can look forward to developing real friendship and life-giving relationship because we're all brothers and sisters. So if you just do not limit yourself to attending meetings, but look for opportunities to be together and share experience. So if you're just open-minded, just share your. I think we can have a very good relationship, and the most important here is we all learn, because we're servants of the Lord, so we need to, as part of the servant, we also need to learn, and so that we will know how to respond to God's call. So in conclusion, so since we know that the family is being attacked by evil now, so we need to have some protection. Not some, but we need to have protection. We need to have our model also. So our model is the Holy Family of Nazareth. So I'm sure you know this, right? Joseph, Mary, and Child Jesus. So if you ponder on the life of the Holy Family, their life is so not a very smooth one. If you imagine yourself on their situation, in the place of Israel during that time, a lot of conflicts. And you remember Mary and Joseph also exiled, going from Bethlehem to Nazareth. They traveled. So life is so hard. So it's the same also to us. Life is so hard, especially when we got married. There are a lot of struggles in life. So we need to follow the examples of the Holy Family. And the very best thing about the Holy Family is, no matter how difficult the situation is, they always yes to God. They always serve the Lord all the days of their lives. So even Jesus is a son of God, right? But he's also human. So the Holy Family teaches us also how to discipline our kids. Then I'm sure that Joseph and Mary disciplined Jesus perfectly, and that's why these are model. So if we have our Holy Family in the home, I think it's better for us to have a picture or image also, so that we can have a model. From time to time, we can see him. At least we follow their good examples. So God has a plan for our families, but the evil ones wants to prevent this plan from happening. So we need to have protection and guidance of the Holy Family. So we need to pray to God and really to make God's plan happen. So with all these challenges that our families have to face, and with all expected us to build strong Christian families, we need God's power. So we really need, that's what I mentioned, the life of married life is very challenging one. It's not easy one. So for those singles who wants to get married, good luck. It's not really a smooth one, but yeah, you will experience it. That's why we really need to have a God and put Christ in the center of our married life. Because without Him, I'm sure the conflicts and the fighting struggles in our married life will become worse. So that's why the next topic is how to live in the Holy Spirit. Because we really need to have the Holy Spirit to ignite in our family life, so that we can pray, we can have a strong family. So that's the end of my sentence.
Okay, thank you, Bro Brian. Ngayon po, welcome po sa bagong dating sisters. Ngayon po, mag-break muna tayo ng 5 minutes. Parang gusto nyo magkape, may ice cream mo, bro? Mag-break muna tayo